Hi everyone, it's Sue here from Scrappy Do Sue. Today I've come on to do episode 14 of Margarete Miller's 52-week collage challenge. Hashtag CW Planner 14. Welcome to any new subscribers and welcome back any returning subscribers. You may or may not know I'm using an A4 white lined notebook that I've had for years and I never ever used. I had a bit of a thing for notebooks. I do have one or two and I have to really stop myself from buying any new ones. I don't know what it is, but I just love them and I don't necessarily use them for anything. But anyway, it's a good thing I didn't use this because it's coming very handy. So this is the one we did last time. This is episode 13 here. So you get 5 prompts and a bonus. You can use all 6 items or you could substitute the bonus for one of the 5 prompts if you don't have it or don't want to use it. So I've already inked around my white page. I always distress around it just to take that white edge off. These are the prompts. So we have buttons in brackets, real, drawn or stamped. We have something royal, we have a poem, we have a schematic, which is a plan really of how to do something, 2 of something, and the bonus is something purple. So I'm going to use all 6 things today because these are the things I've been looking for. So I tried to plan ahead. So we have these lovely silver buttons here, which I love, and I'm going to use this purple seam binding and I'm going to sew them on like that. That's the plan for those. So that's the purple and the bit buttons. Something royal, I printed out this beautiful photograph of Princess Diana after she'd married Charles. Now this has come from public domain on the internet, so it's perfect. I'm perfectly able to use it. I absolutely love this picture of her in her earlier, happier days, I think, although nobody knows really how happy she was from the start. I think she knew she was always destined to be married into royalty some way or other. I'm sorry, I'm just having a drink of my coffee because I keep forgetting to drink my tea and coffee and it's going cold, so excuse Elmo if you can hear him wailing. He's probably going to start saying out, out, out in a second. Anyway, I actually was very lucky. I met her in real life when she was Lady Diana before she married Charles, and I met Charles with her. I didn't meet them to speak to, but I worked for the National Film Archive at the time, and Prince Charles became patron of the what is now known as the British Film Institute. At the time when I worked for that industry, it was the National Film Archive, and it was in a little village up the road from where I live called Aston Clinton. It's gone now, it's been moved to Berkhamsted, but I worked there until I was expecting Charlotte, my eldest daughter. And then in those days, you know, you had your maternity leave, but you didn't always go back then. You kind of stayed at home and looked after your children. So I didn't go back. I didn't actually go back to work until my second daughter was, I suppose she must have been about 3. And that was when I'd got divorced from their father. So anyway, I digress as usual and start waffling on about other stuff. But anyway, we were lucky enough that everybody, all the staff names were put in a hat because they were having a premiere of an old film that had been repaired by us called Gallipoli. And it was being held, the premiere was being held in London, and all the staff's names, they had limited places on the coach, so they allowed certain, you know, amount of staff to go, and I was lucky that my name was pulled out of the hat. So I went with my then first husband and we went up on the coach and we sat in the theatre, and there were stairs next to the aisle where I was sitting, and she came down the stairs with Charles, and I have to say she was far more beautiful in real life than she ever is portrayed in her photographs and on TV. She just radiated beauty. There was something almost ethereal about her, and I feel very fortunate that I met her then before she became Princess Diana and all the rot set in, bless her, and she had a very unhappy life, I think. But she wore a beautiful, beautiful, deep, dark, moss green velvet gown, floor length, and it was absolutely beautiful. And everyone might or may not know I love velvet, and yeah, it makes me feel a bit emotional thinking back to seeing her. And you know, oh sorry, I'm just going to have some coffee to calm myself down. Yeah, so, and he looked very handsome, and he stood up at the, you know, before the film was played, he stood up and gave a speech about the film industry. And, you know, so what the National Film Archive did where I worked at the time, they repaired all the old nitrate black and white films and all the sort of more earlier films, and then we used to lend them out to different people, researchers and all of that, who wanted to see them, and cinemas and that sort of thing. But it was a very interesting time. It was one of my very first jobs I ever had when I left school at 16. So, you know, I was very, very lucky. But she was absolutely beautiful. So anyway, that's enough of that. So I wanted to use her as something royal. Sorry that I've waffled on, got a bit upset. I do apologise. Then the poem, I always loved Enid Blyton. I absolutely devoured her books when I was a child. I'm a bookworm, and I learnt to read big books before I was 5, much to my teacher's surprise when I started school, because back then in the 50s, you started school when you were 5, you know. And Enid Blyton, not many people may or may not know this, but she was also a poet. And one of my favourite poets of her is The Ladybird. And I'll just read it out quickly. Ladybird, you're very neat, from tiny head to little feet. I like your coat of red and black. I like your clean and shining back. Do you polish it each night to make it shine so gay and bright? Or do you keep a tiny fay who rubs it up for you each day? Beneath your shiny back there lie the gauzy wings with which you fly. You're spreading them, oh, please don't go. There's such a lot I want to know. Your house is burning, did you say? Oh, well, of course, you mustn't stay. And that is one of my favourite poems of Enid Blyton, so I want to put that on. Then the schematic, I had a look through all my stash, and I found this lovely schematic of a robotic horse, and it's fascinating actually. It's all, you know, in detail about, and then they kind of write on it where things are going to go. So I'm going to use that. 2 of something, I found 2 matching roses, sets of 3, little bunch of 3 roses, so I want to use those in homage to Diana, really, because she was a beautiful rose, English rose. Elmo, please go away, I'm filming. So that's those things. And I've got the buttons and I've got the purple. So let's get on before I waffle on too much more. So I'm going to put down these things. And I'm just going to bring my glue book over, move that to one side. Oh dear, do you know, I thought I had the glue then. I think I'm going mad now. You never know what you're going to get with me, do you? It's an exciting video because you never know what's going to happen. Bye-bye, Elmo. You're not to go out. You can't go out. You know you can't. Because the nursing home is still being cleared and I don't want you getting shut in. Because once you get shut in there, there isn't anybody I know who will be able to open up and get you out. Now that all the staff have gone. Poor Elmo. It's so sad for him, bless him. He's been in now over 2 weeks, I think it is. Yes, he's telling us he's had enough. Can you hear what he's saying? He actually sounds like he's saying out. Now, nobody would believe me when I said my girls think I'm mad, which I probably am. But he does sound like he's saying out. So I printed this little poem out on paper, just copy paper, and I've tea dyed it actually. Tea dyed it to give it a bit of interest, and just going to go around that with a bit more distress ink. Yeah, so I like that little poem. I think Diana would like that too. So I have to be careful now, because I think I'll put that there. I don't mind if it overlaps the page a little bit. Adds to the interest. And I'm going to put this. Yes. Now I knew that might happen. Right. Let's try and lift this back up. Oh, it's quite fragile because I've tea dyed it. Well, what I did was I've cheated a bit. I used a tea bag that was still warm. I used that and I just literally rubbed it over, because that's a good way of just tea dyeing or coffee dyeing the odd thing. Sometimes I just put some coffee in my made up coffee, black coffee, in my Tim Holtz spray, and I think I'm just going to put that there and that there, like so. Okay, and then we've got our roses, so we'll distress those. Yeah, sometimes I just put it in the Tim Holtz spray bottle, which is this one. Still got dregs of coffee in. I left it on the windowsill actually, and we haven't had extreme heat yet so far this year, as you know, but it's gone a little bit warped. That just shows you that you pay a bit more for these Tim Holtz range of things, and you know, I probably would just as well got a pack of 2 or 3 off of the pound shop actually, but that's what I use. I just dilute it, make, you know, black coffee. Well, I drink black coffee all the time anyway. Black coffee in the morning, tea in the afternoon. That's what I do. And I just spray the odd piece sometimes with that spray if I want a coffee dye, or as I say, I just use a wet tea bag. Right, so we've got some lovely roses. So I think we'll put one up here like that, and I want to put the other one in the opposite corner. I think maybe we'll have this one here, not quite down the bottom, like so. Let's get my dry wipe, give that all a press down. Hope you can see. Had a bit of a disaster with the previous video where my camera fell out of the tripod holder, so that didn't go down very well. Anyway, that's looking lovely. I love that. She's beautiful, isn't she? Okay, so now I'm going to put that away for a minute. I'm going to take some of this. I thought I'd ruffle it up and then sew buttons on it, so I'm just going to cut a piece off. I don't quite know how much I'll use. Where's my needle? I'm going to use this grey wool, which I got in my sewing machine set. So not a little kit that I got from Hobbycraft when I bought my MIDI sewing machine that I still haven't got out and used. But as I'm on leave, I thought it would be a good opportunity this week to actually get it out. So I was always taught to knot the end. You can hide it behind. So I'm going to do this, I'm going to hide the knot behind there, like so, and then I'm going to get my button. I love these buttons, very, very lovely. They look regal to me, so I thought they were appropriate. And silver makes a nice change, so just literally, I am not going to sew them forever and a day. I'm just going to do them 3 times because they're only going to be stuck down on this page 3 times. And this, oops, sticky fingers. This is how I was taught. So you go through your button, go up through the back like that, and then you wind your thread round 2 or 3 times and go back in like that. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing. I've got that thread is caught round that seam binding, right, like that. And then, like I said before, we were taught to just push our needle through the back of the stitches to stop it coming undone. That's one, and it makes it quite flat, so that's one. I'm going to put 3 on. I like sets of 3. So let's do another one, and we're going to ruffle it. So I think I'm just going to sew that ruffle down first. Just put a little stitch in there. I don't mind the stitch showing because I think it adds interest. So I'm just going to do it like that, and then I'm going to ruffle the next one down below, next piece. Oh, it's fiddly because the button's actually quite heavy. And I'm just going to, because you're not going to see the back, so I've done a long stitch to the next piece, and oh, my fingers are a bit sticky. Let's put this button on like so, like that. These buttons wouldn't be appropriate if you were wanting to use this on something else. Like if you weren't sticking it flat down to a page, they would be too heavy for this. But for what I want them for, they are okay. I just like to keep it up the right way, matching the other one. Like so, there, that's, put that through there, round 3 times or so, whatever you decide. Sew them on how you were taught. I don't know how children are taught these days to sew, even if they do have sewing lessons. I mean, we had them when we were little, you know, from about 5, 6 onwards, but those were the days in the 50s really when women were good little housewives, you know. So you were taught these type of things, domesticity from an early age. Right, I'm just going to put one more on like that. Yeah, so yeah, I remember we had a maypole in our school playground. Now, that would not be heard of today. Would not be allowed, I doubt. Which is a shame, really. We did enjoy it. We learnt country dancing. We had, you know, in junior school, we had dancing lessons. We had country dancing. We danced reels kind of thing, you know, to partner up with somebody, usually a boy. So we did learn all that sort of thing, but nobody learns it today, do they? Nobody knows anything about it, really. It's a shame. It is a shame. So let's put this one on. Hope you can see what I'm doing. I've had to move the tripod, the other one that I have. Whoops. I've had to move it and make it a little bit higher up. I'm ditching the other one because I had two, as I say. One was just an Aldi cheapie, and that's the one that the phone kept falling out of the holder. I think the spring may have gone in it, so I'm ditching it and gone back to my latest one, which is a clamp really that goes around goes onto the edge of the desk or shelf or something like that. And so at the back it's not terribly neat, I have to say. I would have been told off at school for that, no doubt, but then I wouldn't have sewn it like that for school. Would have been a good girl. Those were the days, hey. Okay, I'm just going to go through a couple of times. I think I am going to, let's see how long that is. So I quite like that. I maybe don't want to cover up this. Could have it down here. I mean, it might make the page a little bit bulky, but you know, it's just a collage. It's turning into a collage book, so I'm not too bothered about it. So I'm just going to ruffle the end. So just ruffled that, gone down, put my stitch in, and let's just do another ruffle down here. Yes, so it's not very often I actually do any hand sewing these days. Well, everything's, the art of lots of things has died, I think. I guess it's up to us crafters to keep it all alive, keep it going. And I get such enjoyment out of this. I'm not an artistic, I am artistic, but not to the degree of some people on YouTube. Some of the crafting community are amazing, but I haven't really done any art for years. As I say, I used to watercolour, mainly watercolour, and what else did I do? I liked the black and white drawings with charcoal. I loved doing that. So that was something, that was one of my favourite things to do. So let's trim off this end, I think, like that. I quite like to shape the end of this a little bit. Yes, I guess life gets in the way and you don't have time really to do a lot of it. I never did when I was bringing up the girls, because obviously I was a single mum for 13 years with them. So from the ages of 6 and 3. So, you know, you don't have a lot of time to do. By the end of the day, you're so tired. And plus I didn't have the resources to, you know, I know you can make lots of things out of nothing really, but yeah, so if I shut the book, yeah, that's not too bad. These pages are getting thicker and thicker anyway. So let's see, where should we have it? Should we have it like that? I don't want to cover up the poem. That's quite nice. I actually want it down the middle, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get my Beacon 3-in-1 and I'm going to stick it down. Get some on the buttons. Yeah, so I never had a lot of time for crafting really. I guess once they grew up a bit and they were teenagers, but then I worked full-time and I had quite a high pressure job at the time, and I was travelling to Elstree and back every day on the motorway, and it was very, very stressful. And some days I didn't get home until nearly 7 or gone 7 from work, after having left very early in the morning in order to get a space in the car park and beat the traffic on the motorway. M1, I was travelling at M1 morning and night, and it used to add an hour on morning and night to my journey minimum, and every morning and every night there were accidents on the M1. So it's horrible. It's a horrible motorway. It was at the time. So okay, so I guess these two bits possibly need filling in with something. So let's see, so that's what it looks like so far. Maybe we'll put some script on here. I think we'll just put some script. So I'll just get my script stamp out. Oh, excuse me, I hope you can't see my head because I did brush my hair this morning, but this is, I think it's before 9 AM. My day off week off week, I mean. And I'm really enjoying myself. Hubby's still camping with Paddy Dog, so I feel really free this week, free to just come and go as I please. So I'm going to use some, let's have a look. I think I might use some black archival ink for this because it will show up more. So all I'm doing is just taking the rubber stamp and I'm just doing it like that. In those spots. It doesn't matter if it goes over the pieces either side, like so, and that's filled that in nicely. Put that back, trying to keep tidy as I go along, and that's finished. So hashtag CW Planner 14. Buttons real drawn or stamped. Well, I've put real ones on. Something royal, we've got Princess Diana. A poem, we have an Enid Blyton poem called The Ladybird. Just stick that down. For some reason that doesn't want to stick. And what else? A schematic. So we've got a schematic for robotic horse, which is very nice. It's more organic than a lot of schematics, I think. Two of something. I've got 2 bunches of roses that are identical, and something purple was the bonus, and I've used that to sew the buttons onto a piece of purple seam binding. Excuse me. And that is our hashtag CW Planner 14. So that hopefully was quicker than normal, and I didn't waffle on too much. And I apologise for getting a bit emotional about Diana. I'm you know, don't know what came over me actually. It's just memories, I guess, and knowing or seeing her before all the awful things that happened to her had happened. Anyway, she had 2 lovely boys, so something good came out of it all. And that's me done. Anyway, have a good rest of the week, everyone, and I will see you again soon. Take care. Bye bye.